everyone to this hybrid meeting of the Planning Committee. This planning meeting is being broadcast live over the internet and will be available to view online now and in the future. Please be aware that this meeting is being transcribed only for the purpose of producing the minutes. This transcript will be deleted once the committee approves the minutes. The transcript should not be downloaded by anyone other than Democratic Services. We welcome the use of the Welsh language at meetings. I have had no request for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Those attending in the chamber, please be aware that we are all on camera and you may be visible on screen when people around you are speaking. And please remember to speak clearly into your microphones. Committee members participating remotely, can you please refrain from using the chat function and instead use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak. And please remember to keep your microphone muted when you are not talking. May I remind members that as per statutory guidance made under Section 4 of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011 and our formally adopted hybrid meeting policy, any member attending a meeting remotely must be able to be seen and heard by the members and officers who are attending the meeting, as well as by members of the public viewing the meeting. So can I ask you all please use your cameras for the duration of the meeting. Hope you understood that. I've got a groggy voice today and I'm sorry about that. Moving on to the agenda. Agenda item 1, attendance and apologies. Rachel, do we have any apologies?
I've received apologies from Councillor Steve Evans.
Thank you, Rachel. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. Rachel, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they have any interest to declare?
Yep. Councillor Ashley.
Yes, I'm a member of Cumbraon Community Council. I believe that's personal. I believe it's. I don't have any personal interest in it at all.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Best.
No interest.
Councillor Gordon.
Nothing from me.
Councillor Haller.
Nothing from me either.
Councillor Gaynor James.
Not from me.
Councillor John James.
Nothing from me.
Councillor Janet Jones.
Nothing from me.
Councillor Mark Jones.
Nothing from me.
Councillor Parish.
Nothing to declare.
Councillor Slade.
Nothing to declare other than that I'm the board member for the application and review today.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Chu.
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Thanks, members.
Thank you, Rachel. Right, I'll go on to item 3, minutes of the Planning Committee from the 19th of November 2025. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? If not, I will take them as approved. Right, I can't see any hands going up, so the minutes have been approved. Thank you. Right, agenda item 4, planning application 24P 0560 OUT, and it's for the erection of a new build 2-storey unit for use class B1, B2 and B8 to provide operational and warehousing space and office accommodation together with associated yards and parking at plot C1 Llantarnam Industrial Estate, Llantarnam, Cwm Brown. Can I ask Tom Braithwaite, planner, to present the report, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Let me share the presentation. Okay, so yes, as Chair said, the application is an outline application for erection of a new build two-storey industrial unit for use classes B1, B2 and B8, and then associated development too. Now, the application site is allocated in the local plan, the current local plan, under policy EET1 for major employment development. EET1 covers multiple sites over the Llantarnam Business Park, and this forms one site. So with our aerial photograph here, you can see the site. Lakeside Road adjoins to the west. There is an existing industrial unit to the north and another one to the south. You can see there is a historic access from Lakeside through the middle of the site that was subject to a previous application, and that hasn't been brought forward any further. In terms of the scale parameters, the application is made an outline with all matters reserved, so that is being access, design, scale, siting and landscaping. But as part of the application, the developers provided scale parameters for the height, width and depth of development, so those being maximum 14 metres height, 44 metres maximum width and 94 metres maximum length. And these parameters are fixed. So the developer has provided us with an indicative site layout plan of what could be achieved on the site. Obviously, layout and scale and siting and design and things are still reserved for future consideration, but this plan is here to demonstrate what could be achieved on the site with those parameters. So you can see the industrial unit being towards the southern boundary of the site with its servicing yard to the north. We've got an access from the adjacent industrial unit. This access is used and utilised currently by that unit to the north, and this application proposes to create a new access within the boundary of the site for this development as well. So from that access you've got a small parking area for electric vehicles, charging spaces, cycle storage and disabled parking, and then moves into the service yard, and then round to the east boundary you've got some excess parking space there and public amenity space. Critically, you'll see the site is bound by the Dowless Brook to the east, with a heavy tree line along that boundary there, and there are some other trees dotted around the site and towards other boundaries, which we'll move on to further on. So the developers provided us with indicative sections of a possible industrial unit on this site. So you can see the top section is taken from west to east through the site. You can see Lakeside Road to the left there, and then the Dowless Brook to the right. The site is generally flat. Lakeside Road is slightly elevated, and then it falls slightly to the development area, and then again it falls down towards the Dowless Brook on the eastern boundary. And then the section to the bottom there is looking along towards the Dowless Brook at the development site from Lakeside Road, and you can see the indicative height of the unit on the right-hand side in relation to the existing unit to the north. The developers provided us with some access and tracking details to demonstrate that parking and servicing for larger vehicles could be accommodated in any layout to come forward. So these access tracking details show that a vehicle can move forwards, move into the site, turn and then leave in a forward gear as well. And our highways officers are satisfied with these details as well. Ecologically, the site has varying levels of ecological quality. So the developers provided us with survey reports from preliminary ecological appraisals and 2 tree surveys. So you'll see to the access entrance, there are 2 individual trees to the northwest. There are some also fronting the road, Lakeside Road, towards the southwest as well. Along the Dowless Brook we've got the highest quality of trees, mostly category A's and B's. The Dowless Brook, and then by extension these trees, form part of a wider SINC site, a site for importance for nature conservation. And then the orange shaded area from that is lower quality scrubland as well, and the majority of the middle of the site is also lower quality. And then the final area of quality is towards the southern boundary, and you can see group G18 there. So from this, the developers provided us with the tree constraints plan overlaid with the indicative site layout. So we can see critically the trees along the Dowless Brook, and that habitat is to be protected, and the development would have very minimal impact on those. There are a host of recommendations from the findings of the ecology surveys and tree surveys to make sure that those trees are protected during the course of development, in any case when the final layout is brought forward. The groups of trees towards the northern boundary are just outside of the application red line, but their root protection zones do bleed slightly into our red line. Those are to be retained as well. The ones to the northwest boundary with Lakeside would need to be removed, just to make provision of the access for the site. Those to the southwest boundary fronting the street as well would be retained, and they're of higher quality as well. And then regarding G18 to the southern boundary, the development has shown that it would have some impact on these trees, and the indicative layout has shown that this group, the majority of these trees in this group would need to be removed. The findings of those tree surveys find that these trees generally are either category C's or category U's as a group, and they have a limited lifespan. Most of them being self-seeded trees, competing with each other for space. So they're of lower quality and have lesser ecological value on the site. So looking at some site photographs, the top one here looking southwards down Lakeside Road, and then down the bottom we've got northeast towards the adjacent unit, and you can see the evidence of the access that was created in the past for this site. Then this one's looking east across the site towards the Dowless Brook. So again, in the distance you've got the thick tree line along the brook, and then also to the right hand side slightly we've got G18, that thinner tree line there. And then again another image of the G18. And again from opposite side of Lakeside Road. Now members will note that because of the scale of the development and its location, the authority is required to undertake an appropriate assessment for any potential impact on European designated sites, so that be SAC sites. So Appendix 1 of the committee report includes the appropriate assessment that we've undertaken. This has been consulted on with NRW, and since publishing of the committee report, NRW have since agreed with our conclusions that there would be no adverse impacts on the designated SAC sites. So just to sum up the recommendation, the application is proposed in line with the local plan allocation for employment land. It's considered that with those scale parameters that development could be brought forward and that would be acceptable in terms of design, layout, access and landscaping as well. And whilst the application does see that it may potentially lose a lot of the trees to the southern boundary. Those are of lower quality, and there is enough provision within the landscaping that would come forward to provide an ecological net benefit. And critically, also, there are significant employment benefits to seeing this site developed. So the application is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tom. Right, I can see two hands up for questions. The first one is Councillor Stuart Ashley.
Thank you, Tom, for your presentation. It was detailed enough for me to raise a few questions. We've got the old problem here of employment versus environment. Couple of blunt questions. One, the units on either side, how old are they? How long have they been there in that environment? Two, the state of the Dowless Brook, which I think part of this application hangs on. There's been a bit of controversy about that Dowless Brook and what state it's in. Three, the trees. I know us environmental types get a bit worked up about trees and loss of. Quality trees versus the ones that are a bit scrubby. The mitigation methods on it says some of the trees are self-seeders, and I would agree with the assessment. It says self-seeding trees and ones that are not so self-seeding. But the quality of this environment, and I believe reading through this, I've done a couple of goes through it, getting a feel for this landscape. Bearing in mind it is industrial landscape down here, sat in something that wasn't industrial landscape. I question what we're putting back, and we've lost the 3-to-1 mitigation, and I wonder whether, you know, we do have a general over policy of putting trees back as the project that is going all over the borough. So I wonder, even in industrial areas like this, whether we should be putting it back. I mean, we do have a problem now. We haven't had any comment from Natural Resources Wales, and our ecologists are not totally alarmed by this. It's just what we can put here if we're going to go ahead with it. I'm not averse to it. It's my main worry is the brook and the trees, and there doesn't seem to be any form of nature in here that's been. All I want is to be satisfied that this isn't going to cause any problems, and I think that's some of the members of this committee be worried about.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yeah.
Could you answer that for him, for Councillor Ashley, please, Tom?
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Councillor. In terms of the age of the units to the north and the south, I'm afraid I don't know when those were built and how long they've been there. In terms of the state of the Dowless Brook, again, I'm not. I haven't been privy to any information about any controversy, but in terms of what our ecologist has found, you know, the PEA that's been undertaken that covers this site and then the Dowless Brook, or the Dowless Brook within the application site boundary, they've undertaken lots of species surveys, but the white crayfish, bats, things like that, protected species, and our ecologist is happy with the conclusions that they've got there. They've also obviously recommended that there be a significant buffer between the quality habitat and then any built development as well. So if we look at, again, the tree constraints plan, if I share my screen again. So you can see that the application, that this plan's got a protective barrier between that quality habitat, and it's mapped out all the root protection zones and things like that. And our ecologist is happy with the recommendations, subject to the conditions that those protective measures be put in place in the course of any development. Now, I appreciate that the application is made an outline, so the siting and scale and layout of the development is still reserved for future consideration. But the conditions that we put on there make sure that the developer is required to take account of all of the recommendations of those surveys when coming forward with their layout. So in terms of the trees, yes, you're quite right, Councillor. I think these, particularly the Lantana Business Park, these industrial sites are quite well landscaped, as they've been for quite some time. So I think what we asked the developer to do was look at other options. In line with Planning Policy Wales Edition 12, the developer needs to demonstrate a stepwise approach when considering ecological impacts. So the first stage is retention of any ecological features, and then it steps down into mitigation, and then all the way down to replacement and then off-site. So as part of, during the course of the application, the developer has undertaken, and I think the report covers this a bit more detail, but they undertook a financial viability assessment of a potentially smaller unit which could retain those trees to the southern boundary. And the findings of that found that the site would be financially unviable to deliver. So I think we've got a balancing act to play here where, you know, these trees, most of them being self-seeded as well, particularly having a shorter lifespan than those along the brook as well. And, you know, I think with landscaping being a matter for future consideration as well, we're still satisfied that, in principle, with the layout that they've given us, the indicative layout, that there is enough space and buffer zones to beef out both the planting along the Dowlais Brook and improve that ecological connectivity, and then also provide other trees, more larger trees, more established trees, more native trees along the northern boundary as well, which obviously has better ecological connectivity, so the wider space, wider area, and has a wider amenity value as well. So I agree, and we do acknowledge that we possibly wouldn't be able to achieve a 3-to-1 ratio, strictly 3-to-1 ratio, but I think looking at the site holistically and in kind of line with the survey recommendations as well, it's thought that we can achieve at reserve matter stage a development that provides an ecological benefit.
The further question is that was done in 21 from a desktop. People have gone on site there and actually looked at what's there. I did read that there.
Sorry, Councillor. So in terms of the ecology surveys, I'm not sure whether the ecologist, the developers' ecologists would have been on site, but they've, you know, surveyed the site appropriately and given us the findings of that. The tree surveys have been done. We've had two tree surveys. So there was an initial survey, and then we asked the developer to go back and do an additional survey, particularly in terms of that group to the southern boundary, G18. So there we are.
The next question is, obviously we're spending something north of £800,000 in the borough doing trees, and I'm hoping that is going to tie in with that. Worth me asking that question.
Chair, maybe I can come in there. I think Councillor Ashley's points with regards to the loss of trees are warranted, to be quite honest with you, and something we grapple with through the course of this application. At the end of the day, I think, and I think you asked the question whether NRW objected to the application. They haven't objected to the application at all, subject to a construction environment management plan. I think it's one from as you know, councillors, it's a balancing exercise in planning always, and we've got to balance the benefits of providing a new modern industrial unit, which is much needed in the county borough, against other issues such as the loss of trees. We feel that there could be a benefit, as Tom said, a benefit of providing better quality streets in better locations which connect to areas. We won't get the 3-to-1 ratio that Planning Policy Wales seeks, but we will get a modern industrial unit which is much needed for the county borough, with an enhanced planting of trees in locations which are beneficial. We also keep, as Tom said, the important habitat trees towards the Dowlers Brook as well, which protects that area. Thank you, Chair.
I get the employment versus environment argument here, sir. It's just if we're doing all this planting in the borough and in this area, I have to be mindful of that fact as well. I take your argument.
Okay, Stuart.
I'm shutting up now.
Right, thank you very much. Councillor Gordon, you did have your hand up.
I did, Chair, but my question was very similar in nature to Councillor Ashley's regarding trees, and it's been adequately covered in the response to Councillor Ashley's question. Thank you.
Right, okay, thank you. Rachel, has anyone got a hand up in the chamber?
No, Chair.
No? Are there any other questions, comments members would like to bring up? No? Right. I'll ask members then, or a member, to move a proposal, please.
I'll move it as I've asked all the questions.
Yes, thank you.
Happy to.
Thank you, Stuart. Right, is there a seconder?
I seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Janet. Right, Rachel, could you please ask members in alphabetical order to state whether they are for, against or are abstaining this application?
Yes, no problem. Starting with Councillor Ashley.
I have no choice but to say for.
Councillor Best.
For.
Councillor Gordon. Sorry, you were on mute.
Apologies, for.
Thank you. Councillor Hawler.
For.
Councillor Gaynor James.
For.
Councillor John James.
For.
Councillor Janet Jones.
For.
Councillor Mark Jones.
For.
Councillor Parish.
For.
Councillor Slade.
For.
And Councillor Tew.
For.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Chair.
Thank you. This application has been approved. Right, that's the last item on the agenda for today. I'd like to thank everyone for your attendance and your contributions. And I'd like to ask you all to have a very happy Christmas, you and your families. And I wish you all have a healthy and peaceful 2026 next year. So we'll close the meeting.